I just want to say thank you. What an honor to be here and talk about a very controversial topic these days, diversity, equity, and inclusion in finance. What an important time we're in. What a polarized time. But I want to go back 50 years to when I started my career in state government at the Minnesota Housing Finance Agency. I was given a chance to participate in a multidisciplinary cross-agency committee to rework the Minnesota State Building Code. Now, you may wonder, what in the world am I talking about a building code for at an investment conference? Well, the building code that I worked on was called accessibility. 50 years ago, we changed the building code to create accessible bathrooms, curb cuts at street corners, and a whole variety of things to welcome and include mobility impaired people, people with hearing or sight disabilities, into the mainstream of American life. Inclusion was part of the effort around all these changes that we made for accessibility. Promulgated the proposed rules. Everybody came out of the woodwork and said, this is too expensive, we can't do it. The hotels didn't want to do it. Local governments didn't want to pay for the cutting of sidewalks because that was going to be an infrastructure expense that they didn't think they needed. But here we are 50 years later, and every one of you benefits from the fact that we made streets accessible, elevators accessible, and the ability for people to be included in daily life of this country. So when we talk about inclusion, diversity, equity, and inclusion as being controversial, it's because it's making a change that people are having to adjust to. But once that change is made, we don't know about it. We don't even understand it. On my way out here, I was sitting next to somebody in the airplane, and we got to talking, and I said, I'm going to be giving a speech, and I'm going to start a speech about curb cuts. And he said, what is a curb cut? That's the level of integration that we have in this society now around accessibility and inclusion. Let me fast forward a little bit to the time that we're in now, to think differently particularly about finance and business and how we operate. We're trying to get very efficient. We're in a digital world. Like COVID came, we had 2 years almost of not spending any cash. We didn't have any place to spend it. We went digital with currency. What an amazing transformation. But there's an unintended consequence. Now restaurants are putting up signs that say, no cash. Well, if you say no cash, who are you excluding? You're excluding people who don't have bank accounts. You're excluding people whose religion says, I can't have a credit card because it's got interest. You're excluding people that could be your customers. The same went back in the day with accessibility. When businesses said, we can't afford this, they were saying, we can't afford to hire Stephen Hawking. We can't afford to have people come into our building in wheelchairs. So I'm from Minnesota, as you may know, from the bold, cold north, and in the winter I like to be on the beach in South Beach. And every time I'm on the beach and I'm strolling past the dunes and looking at the Art Deco buildings, I see a blue mat gives accessibility to one of the greatest beaches in the world to people in wheelchairs. And not only do I see the mat, but I actually see people on the beach in wheelchairs. And they have wheelchairs with thick tires so they don't fall into the sand. And so we have a system, regulatory, environmental, and social, that has invited people into the mainstream of life. And that's where we need to be in this world of DEI. Now, why is it controversial? Well, people have to make a change. I want to move a little bit now from inclusion to talk about equity and diversity. Let's talk first about diversity. Why is this important, and why is there such pushback against it? Well, many people are saying diversity is just a new way of saying it's a quota. It is making somebody who's not qualified for a job having to be hired. That couldn't be farther from the truth. And anyone who wants to say that the privileged white male has the right, the first right to jobs, or to opportunities or to investment capital is saying the rest of the world is not as qualified. And that's not where we are. Any smart business that's looking ahead is going to see that by the year 2045, the United States population will be primarily majority minority, if that's a term. I don't particularly like that term, but less than half of our population in 2045 will be white. That's a profound change, and that change is already in place with the children that are being born today. They will grow up and they will be running this economy and they'll be filling the jobs. And so companies that are savvy are looking to say, we need diverse employees, we need diverse thought, we need diverse innovation, and we're not going to get that if we keep going to the same old people who've always been doing it this way, who've got their own networks of people who look like them and think the way they do. That's groupthink. We don't need that anymore if we're going to stay as a robust economy and a robust society. And that goes for the investment world as well. Now, I'm having a hard time seeing all of you with the light. I kind of feel like Trump. Turn off that light. No, I don't. But what I do want to say is this industry that we're in, writ large, 95% of the people who are managing money in this country in finance are white males. That's not the case in this room, so I applaud the efforts here to have a diverse participation in impact investing, because we're going to be at the vanguard of leading this effort in the future. And I'm at 0. I can't believe it. I'm just going to finish here really quickly. I want to talk about equity. The most important part of DEI is understanding what equity is, and in my view, it's fairness. Fairness is making sure that we treat people from where they are. And we have populations that have been pushed out for centuries of mainstream participation in our economy. Whether it's participation in financing, access to capital, which has been my career over the last 45 years, or access to good education or other aspects of our economy. It's very important that we bring equity to that effort. And that means being proactive to invite people in who've been pushed out. Well, that's not happening very well either. And there's strong forces that are trying to stop that. I've had the opportunity to be advising a company called Founders First Capital Partners, an African-American-led, woman-led fund that is making investments in primarily businesses led by people of color and women. Well, she got sued in Texas for discriminating against white men. And that lawsuit was an effort among a number of organizations that were doing the same thing around the country by individuals who wanted to stop the proactive effort to bring people into the economy. And our role in this room is to make sure that that does not happen and that capital is flowing into the communities that have been left behind and invited in. And so I'll stop here by giving you my call to action, and that is each one of you that is managing money, that has assets that you're managing, that are coming into managing assets, you have the power to change the course of investing in this country so that individuals have the chance to access capital in a way that is innovative, that creates impact, that solves the environmental problems that we have and addresses the social problems that we have in this country and around the world. And so I urge you to take action, use the power you have, stick your necks out, and do the work that's necessary to build a better world. Thank you very much.